Well, welcome to the Master of Science in Applied Psychology live Internship and Treatise Capstone webinar presented by Dornsife of School of University of Southern California. Thank you all for joining us. My name is Lydia Popescu, and I will be your host today. Before we begin, I'd like to review what you can expect. Please refresh your browsers and turn up the volume to hear the audio. Use the media player to control volume or pause the presentation if you are viewing on demand. If you're having technical difficulties or have questions for our panelists, please send a note through the Q&A box. Okay, now here's a quick look at what we'll be covering today. First, we'll hear from Program Director Dr. Ellen Leggett, who will share a little bit about her background and will serve as the moderator for today's discussion. She will take us through a brief overview of the Applied Psychology graduate program, the internship, and the Treatise Capstone. Our guest speakers, 2015 alumnus Jonathan Martinez and 2016 alumna Listea Tuwadi, will each share their unique experiences with the internship and the Treatise Capstone project, and also talk about the career impact of a Master of Science in Applied Psychology degree. Graduate Advisor Gina Chang will then follow and review the admissions requirements and important dates and deadlines for applying to the program. And we're going to end with a brief Q&A session, so please stick around for that. We're going to try and answer as many questions as time allows. Now let's get started. Hello, Dr. Leggett. Thank you so much for joining us today. Will you please share a little bit about yourself with the audience?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Lydia, and thank you to all of you who are on the line today. I'm really glad that you have joined us and that you have interest in our program here at USC, which we consider to be very unique, and we're delighted to have the chance to tell you about it along with two great alums of the program. My own background is that I earned my doctorate degree, my graduate training in Harvard in psychology, and then set about trying to figure out how I wanted to use my psychology in the world. And although I started as a professor, I soon was smitten by the idea that there were ways in which psychology could actually be used, and I began working in the field of jury consulting. I'm one of the earliest folks in the country to work with trial lawyers and helping them understand the psychology of persuasion and communicating with the jury. So I had a very long and happy career doing that consulting, and then 4 years ago I came back to academia to be a professor and share with students what I've learned by working as the director of this program. So it's been an interesting journey. Very, very excited about being back in academia, though, with USC.
Thank you. With that, I'm going to turn it over to you, Dr. Leggett, to introduce our panelists.
Oh, yes. So we have two very great alums with the program, from the program today. Do we have slides for them? Let's see. First, we've got Jonathan Martinez. Hi, Jonathan. Great to have you today. Jonathan just graduated from the program, and he joined the program at USC after having his undergraduate degree in psychology from Cal State LA, and he's currently employed, and interestingly is employed in the human resources field, human relations field, after having done his internship there. And secondly, we have the next slide. We have Listea Tuwadi. Welcome, Listea. I'm so glad to have a chance to introduce you to everyone. Listea also just graduated from the online program at USC here, and she previously had a very interesting background, graduating from UC Berkeley out here in California, and her degree was in environmental economics and policy. And she has been and is still currently employed at Intel Corporation, where she was doing user experience and has had some interesting experiences doing her internship at Intel in some different areas, which I know she's going to tell you about. So I'm glad that both of them have joined us today. So I think what we would like to do is start asking some questions. And I'm going to toss out there to both of you, Jonathan and Listea, a question about why you chose the Master of Science in Applied Psychology program here at USC, and in particular, what was the appeal of the online program? And Jonathan, you want to give us some idea of what appealed to you about this program?
I will, and thank you for the introduction, Dr. Leggett. One of the things that I caught my interest in the program at USC, the Applied Psychology program, was the different fields or different aspects that the program offers for people who are interested in pursuing their psychology degree and perhaps applying it to an organization or a business. The program offers different areas in psychology, such as consumer psychology, if you're interested in going into marketing or advertising, organizational psychology, if you're perhaps interested in employee relations or human resources, or either organizational development, as well as research methods and how you can apply these research methods to the workplace, perhaps as an analyst or a management analyst. Another thing that attracted me to the program was the faculty and their experience as well. The faculty that works in the program has very, very extensive experience in both consumer psychology, organizational psychology, and business psychology, which is the focus of the program.
Great. Thank you. And Listea, how about you?
Sure. Let's see. For me, when I was considering applying, prior to getting to the program, I was at Intel within the Human Resources Department and doing research that was focused on employees. And I was interested to make a career move to more the consumer-facing side of Intel's business. And so for that reason, I did some homework and figured out I need to go and get my master's degree in psychology. And so with that, I kind of set out looking for, I kind of have a must-have list of about 4 things. And I'll say, I guess, one was the program itself. I was looking for a program that would give me a really strong foundation in understanding psychology, research, and theory that I could apply within the company to better understand, what consumers buy and what drives them to buy those types of technologies, and that Intel would be able to use within their business. So the knowledge itself was obviously most important, but then secondly, just a prestigious university, quite frankly. I felt that USC, just looking at the rankings, was very high and just prestigious, which I feel opens up doors for job opportunities. And then for me, it was very important to also continue being a part of the workforce and continuing my career. So I was looking for flexibility so that I can continue working at Intel and continue and want to pursue my my kind of academic goals, which was a master's degree in psychology. I guess the last thing I'll just say on why was the professors. I actually attended a webinar similar to this, where it was over lunch, and we got to meet one of the professors who focused on consumer psychology. I remember it was Dr. Westberg, and after that, I just felt that this was a program that was kind of calling me. So that was my criteria, and so fortunate to get in and be a part of the program.
Great. Thank you so much. I probably should spend a few moments just telling all of you on the line a little bit more about the program, although I think you've gotten some good ideas from what you've already heard. But the curriculum in this program is what we hope, both innovative and contemporary, and unique in that we believe we're the only program where you can focus on both organizational and consumer psychology in the same program. Indeed, we think they are integrally related, and that is why everyone in this program is required to take one course at least in each area. They're integrally related because organizations have the need to communicate and create loyalty with external constituents who are their consumers, but also the employees are more and more being seen as valuable human capital that are necessary to be engaged and loyal in order to advance the business goals of just about every organization. So what constitutes and creates loyalty, loyal employees, loyal consumers, just as one example, that's psychology. That's not something that is taught in business schools. So that's what we consider to be our unique focus, the intersection of both organizational and consumer psychology to make students experts in the human side of business. Then secondly, as mentioned by Jonathan and Listea, we have a particular kind of faculty here. This is not a faculty that has spent an entire career inside universities doing laboratory research. In fact, everyone on our faculty is a PhD in psychology or other social science, but they have all, including myself, as you heard, spent time and are currently spending time in the business world doing consulting or, in many cases, having a full-time job where they are actually teaching in this program the very things that they do in their jobs, so that the relevance and contemporary focus is kept very fresh, because we know we've got faculty that are connected currently to the workforce. And finally, the program, as I think you also heard from our guests, is it's a short but intense program, and even taking 2 courses per term, which is what the normal course is for this program in the online version of this program, it can be completed in 16 months. During that 16 months, everyone is required to do what we call, what you might have seen or heard of as an internship, but we think of it very specifically as a professional development opportunity that we require not only of individuals who are starting their career, but individuals who are mid-career or early in their career, or even we've had people who are late in their career who are at the point of retiring and want to do something new in their retirement. So the idea of this program and this requirement is that your professional development will continue in this program through finding an opportunity that will enable you to grow professionally with the assistance of on-the-job training, as well as some faculty support. And finally, all students do what we call a capstone treatise. It's usually a project, and in fact, it's usually a research project of some sort, but it's a research project that is most typically very applied in nature and often is born out of the internship experience, where you see a need that can be met by collecting some data and helping to drive a better business decision through data. And finally, everyone in the program takes elective courses through a set of electives that are in both the organizational and consumer areas. So you have the opportunity to brand yourself through this program with your unique interests, through the courses that you choose, but more importantly, the specific kind of professional opportunity you develop for yourselves, along with the Capstone Treatise. They give you the most flexible ways to make the program personalized for your specific interests. So with that said, let's talk a little bit more about the internship, or as I've now told you, we call it a professional development opportunity. Generally, it's very inspiring for me to work with these students who are all over the country. Listea and Jonathan are both here in California, but we have students all over the country who develop an opportunity where they live. And in fact, it may be where they currently work. But it's not that we have a short list of companies and we just say, call up this company and you'll get an internship. We actually really want you to use job-seeking skills, which we refresh for you in order to network and develop an opportunity. And some students have gone abroad to fulfill this requirement. They have found opportunities in other countries, which has been really exciting as well. But generally, the focus is on advancing skills in your current profession, developing new skills, or facilitating a career transition for you in some way, or a promotion. And the internships are in all kinds of areas. Whatever your interests are is fair game for the most part, although it needs to be a business application. In other words, the kind of things that we may have said no to for internships would be in the clinical area. If someone is, for example, currently working within a clinic providing services to, say, autistic children, and they ask if they can use that for their internship, the answer would be no, because we don't do any clinical work in this program. But a lot of other areas are open, across the marketing, consumer, organizational, HR spectrum. So next slide. I want to say another word about the Capstone Treatise. This is, as I mentioned, it's an application opportunity for you to learn what use what you've learned in the program. In particular, use some of your data skills. This is a Master of Science program, so data is something we talk about a lot, and we do expect students to have data skills. But how do you use those in the real world? It's very different from what you've probably learned in undergraduate psychology classes, if you've ever had them. And just to tease you a little bit, here are some titles of treatises that have been done recently. Brand over Brain, what is brand loyalty? Looking at kind of what we know about neurocognitive behavior and what it means for loyalty to brands. A lot has been done by students on the issue of millennials, and the Race for Talent, Retaining Millennials, this was a very recent treatise. Comparing use of mobile phone apps and happiness in China versus the U.S. We've had a number of capstone treatises that compare another country to the U.S. or are done completely in another country. It's one of the benefits of being a virtual student is that you can actually conduct virtual research too. You don't need to have people fill out surveys, for example, just people that you can pass out a survey to. You can post surveys on social media and get international samples. And lastly, sneak peek, applying principles of persuasion to increase the appeal of film trailers. We always have students who are interested in the entertainment industry, technology, manufacturing. There are any industry that you can imagine is relevant to this program. So I think you'll learn a lot more about internship and treatise by talking to our guests, though. So I'd like to again turn back to Jonathan and Listea and ask them to tell you about their internship and their treatise. I'm going to start with Jonathan. Jonathan, will you give us some background about how you came to your internship, which the slide is giving it away. It was at McKenna BMW. I remember very well your internship. And can you just tell us how you came about finding your internship and what you actually did there? And it'll be a good reminder for me too.
And thank you for the introduction, Dr. Leggett. I'm going to give a brief background or some background on my internship experience. During my final semester in the program, I was able to secure an internship at McKenna BMW, which is a dealership here in Southern California, as a human resources assistant. Some of the duties that I carried out as a human resource intern were to assist with administrative investigations. I would conduct orientation and onboarding, also touch on aspects of employee relations, interviews, as well as performance management and other areas that are related to HR, which is the field that I was interested in pursuing a career in. At the conclusion of the internship as well as my graduate school program, McKenna BMW offered me a full-time position as an HR generalist at one of their newly acquired dealerships that's also here in Southern California, which is where I'm currently working at now, full-time as an HR generalist. So out of the internship, I was able to secure full-time employment as well as a promotion. And during my time as an intern, I would also serve as an internal consultant to any problems the organization may be facing. They asked me for recommendations, and I would offer my advice and recommendations on certain issues that were concerning the organization with regards to human resource policy or maybe workplace policies.
Great.
And, okay.
So I was
also,
just, go ahead. And I know that you you noticed a particular business problem while you were there, and that actually grew into a research study for your treatise. Could you tell us about that?
Yes, definitely. So during my internship there, the company had recently acquired a very, very large BMW dealership with about 220 employees, maybe within the year time frame from me starting the internship. And the problem the organization was facing was actually assimilating the new employees to the company that acquired them, McKenna. So that prompted me to focus my capstone treatise on specifically mergers and acquisitions in the automotive industry. Because of the acquisition that actually occurred, it was a real-world problem that the company was facing at the time. So my capstone treatise was based off real-world data, a real-world problem. I was able to talk to and interview several employees from both dealerships, from both companies. And at the same time, I was able to collect data and analyze the data and recommend my findings or the data I collected to the issue the company was facing. And I offered my recommendations, so in the future, if this company ever decides to acquire another dealership, I hope that they would use the information I collected from the Capstone Treatise, which was how to assimilate or how to successfully manage a merger and acquisition in the automotive industry.
Very, very compelling work and very relevant to what was going on in that company. And by the way, I see, the slide that we have up here says internship presentation. I also want to mention that during the time you were doing your internship at the BMW dealership, we had a class together, right? And that was a class where we met online, and every student makes a presentation to all the other students about what they're doing in their internship, so that you had the chance to share what you were doing and others in the class could learn as well. But there was also there were discussions every week that you were engaging in online with your other classmates during that semester, right?
Yes, definitely. I was able to communicate with other classmates during the course of the internship class. I was able to ask for advice as well as give recommendations to some of my classmates who perhaps had questions with regards to distributing surveys or perhaps asking specific open-ended questions for their surveys, or how they can actually get someone to complete a survey. That's one of the challenges that I faced during my capstone treatise which was running coincidentally with my internship, was getting people to actually log on and complete a survey. But part of what you learn as a student during the program is how to communicate, how to get that message across and connect with people in the workplace, and how to get them to understand that perhaps completing a survey isn't always a bad thing. It could lead to information that could perhaps possibly improve their work, their workplace, or their work surroundings. Yeah,
very, very nicely said. Role of research in organizations is to help the organization. So that was a great experience. I'm going to thank you, Jonathan, and turn to Listea and see what your experience was, Listea, at Intel. You were working at Intel when it was time for you to come up with something for your Capstone Treatise and your internship. So can you tell us how you went about getting a situation that would work for you since you were already full-time employed?
Yes. So as Dr. Leggett said, I was already working at Intel, which is a huge company, and they are invested in a lot of different business areas. And so my goal was to look for opportunities to do research in which I'd be looking at the external consumers. And so through a lot of informational interviews with people across the company, I identified a particular opportunity that caught my attention within the sales and marketing group, and particularly within their influencer sales group. Basically, out of the conversation, we were able to say, okay, there's a research need, and there was a really good fit. And the best part was that after getting support from my manager, I was able to split my time so that 50% of my time at Intel would be spent doing my internship in the sales and marketing group. So that really worked out well. To share more about I was actually doing in the internship, basically the influencer sales group was working on the retail and hospitality vertical. And so in order to influence the ecosystem of, say, your big name brands that probably plenty of us on this call shop at, we have to do forward-looking research, either 3, 5, even 10 years ahead. And so this team needs to be up to date on not just what's happening now, but what could be. And that's where having a psychology background and doing research came into play. Basically, my main project, which also crossed over with my treatise, was doing consumer research to understand what's the consumer journey across channels. So, for example, let's say some people might their shopping journey might start on the internet, but there's plenty of times where you want to go in store and try it on or feel the texture, right? But then you may not even buy in store. You might go back home and want to purchase it, and you might look at other resources. So there's a lot of data that needed to be collected about consumer behavior, their preferences, and be able to do it in a way that would gather data that could be used to inform Intel's direction and help really determine, what should we be investing in, what kind of experiences would consumers want, and by means of that, then retailers and other brands would want to work with us to bring those experiences to life using our technology. So that was a great experience, and really as a result of the research, they were able to take the findings and make some decisions, which I feel is very rewarding. And then also, in addition to helping Intel, the fact that I was able to do an internship and have my treatise related to it was really a win-win. And even the treatise that I ultimately submitted and got approved, I've actually shared that internally, and my director in that group shared it internally as well. And it was so great when he asked me, he's like, when I reference this, how should I quote you? How should I cite you? And it was such a great feeling. So I think that was a great experience, and got to do it while working at Intel, and got to do the internship and Treatise in the same area.
And my last question is, after you finished that project and that period of time, did you go back to your former position, or have other opportunities presented themselves at Intel?
Yeah, so when my internship completed, Intel is actually going through a huge reorganization, so I actually have some one-on-ones scheduled for the areas that Intel's kind of heading in, and so I definitely will be leveraging the work I've already done. So there are some conversations in the works.
Wonderful. Great. Okay, so that gives you, everyone on the line, a very exciting introduction to the various ways in which students make this set of experiential requirements work for them. And thank you both, Jonathan and Listea, for sharing your experiences. And again, Listea, while you were at Intel doing your internship and your thesis, I know that we talked a lot, and we had live sessions online to talk with others who were doing their treatise at the same time. And there was a pretty tight group of you all trying to get finished at the same time, if I recall. And that leads me to a question about how you both felt about your faculty and also your classmates. Let's talk first about the faculty. What was your experience, generally speaking, with the faculty in this program? And we're looking at a slide here. I have to point out that that's Listea in the USC shirt there next to me with a USC shirt, and she's got to her right is one of our professors, Dr. Breitman, and also there's another student from the online program to the far left, and Annie Cho, our academic advisor, in the picture as well. And where was this picture taken, Listea? I'm going to talk to you first.
Yeah, see, that picture was taken during homecoming and on campus. It was wonderful. Our program had an area on campus in which we were able to kind of meet other peers, and plenty of professors were there, so it was a very positive day. And I will say, and then even after the homecoming, I got to explore and really feel the energy of USC campus.
So you came down from Northern California. You traveled down for this homecoming event, right?
Yes, I did. I hopped on a plane and was just excited to come down and see the campus.
And you met at homecoming other students who were in our online program that had also traveled, right, to come to campus for this event, right?
Yeah, actually, Jessica on the left next to Annie, that was someone who I had worked on a group project with, and we'd had previous classes. And we hadn't met in person, but because we were working in a project and you have all the online discussions, we really got to know each other and develop I'd say, classmate relationship, but I'd also say a friendship. And I remember when I saw her at the barbecue, I was walking up, I think I was like, oh my gosh, Jessica, because we had never met in person, but we had developed such a strong relationship and interaction through the homework assignments, group projects, and online discussions. And I have that relationship with a few other classmates as well. So that was a very exciting day.
Yeah, it was fun. And that's Dr. Breitman over there on the right-hand side, peeking into the picture. What was your experience with faculty, and what was it like to meet faculty when you finally did?
I would say my excitement was very similar. It's like, oh, Samantha Breitman, because we're working, we're going to school, and all the interactions that we have in the online environment, whether it be like during class discussions and even over email sometimes, I just remember meeting her and even a few other professors. It just kind of I don't know. I already felt connected to them going into homecoming, but the fact that we met in person, just even that once, just validated that we had already established a very strong connection in the class environment.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the online, I'll say I think of it as you're going to school and the technology helps go to school, but I don't think of it really as like online or in class. So just meeting in person just validated the relationships we already had.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really nicely said. Thanks for sharing that. I think the faculty feels the same way. We feel very excited to finally meet you because we communicate with you so much. Jonathan, let's turn to you. What was your experience with the faculty overall? Let's start with that.
My experience was great with the faculty from orientation that I attended prior to the program starting with Annie and the student advisors to perhaps midway through the program when I was, or midway towards the end of the program when I was interviewing for internships. A couple of the professors offered not only advice on, schoolwork, but also professional advice on how to interview well, what questions to ask perhaps during interviews, and how to answer specific questions. How not to get nervous was an example that one of the professors offered guidance on. And not only that, but it was their accessibility. So if you had a question perhaps late night or early in the morning or midday on a Saturday or Sunday, the professors were always available to either answer your question via email. They would even offer to perhaps do a video chat conference, let's say on FaceTime or Google Hangouts or other online programs. And the communication was constant. I would get a response right away on questions I had, and I felt like I could approach the faculty, the professors, and I wasn't scared to ask questions, which made the whole program a smooth transition from beginning to end.
Thank you. I'm really proud of our faculty hearing you both say these things. And Jonathan, what about your classmates? What kind of relationships did you form with them?
I formed a great relationships with my cohort and as well as other classmates I worked on with different projects and as a group. So during the program, we're all placed into groups or certain teams to work on projects together. And kind of the whole online experience, it goes along with gaining high levels of communication. Let's say perhaps you're working with someone who's on the East Coast or maybe in a different country. You figure a way, or you figure a way out how to communicate with them, how to talk to them either through text, email, as I mentioned, video conferences. And the experience was great. My classmates would give me honest feedback on assignments or maybe projects we were working on. They would contribute and have a high level of teamwork, and I would give the same back. And it's been great. I still communicate with my classmates now, and it seems like although we were distant due to the online experience, it seems like we were like sitting next to each other in a classroom, even though the program was online.
That's what we aim for. So it's nice to know that it feels that way. Thank you both for sharing that. One other question, though, about your classmates. It's a really diverse group of people, both in terms of geographic dispersion, but also kind of different backgrounds and experiences and different professions. Was that something that made the program challenging or helpful? What role did diversity play for you? That diversity, either one of you.
Yeah, I definitely would say the diversity of backgrounds that each of us brought to the class discussions was valuable. For example, I come from one tech company. There was another classmate who came from another tech company, but then we had another classmate who was at Mercer, which was like a huge organization, and she brought so much experience to some discussions. And I guess I can't even think of an industry that wasn't covered within our cohort of groups. But what I felt is because each of us were coming from different industries and also had different backgrounds coming into it, even different undergraduate studies, we all had a common interest in psychology. And so because of our different backgrounds that we brought to the table, that helped us have some really interesting conversations. And I definitely had some moments where I said, oh, well, I never thought of it that way, or, oh, that's a really good point. And that type of rich discussion was just, I think, helped even more in my learning.
I agree with Listeria. Yeah. I'm sorry, Professor.
No, go ahead. I was just going to ask you if you had anything to add.
Yeah, I agree that all the classmates in our cohort, we all came from different backgrounds. I came from a patient relations, pharmacy, and military background, and other people had a background perhaps in marketing or maybe with, like Listeria, working in Intel. Other people had a teaching background. So you got a variety of answers and feedback when you would communicate with your classmates, which it plays a role in the workplace now. When people are entering the workforce, you're going to enter a diverse workforce, and the program prepares you for that by mixing you up with people from different backgrounds, so you come up with creative answers, and you don't always give the same answer when you're trying to solve a business problem.
That is really a great point. The workforce, it's one of the things we talk about a lot in class, is that the workforce is increasingly diverse, and that diversity does drive creativity. So we're mirroring that in the program, and I'm thank you for bringing that up, Jonathan. Let's see. I think we should move on, and I just want to ask you one last question. Maybe this is the key one. Now that you're out of the program, looking back, what's been the career impact of this program and the work that you did both for your classes but also your internship and Treatise? Jonathan?
It's had a good impact, a great impact. The internship experience, I was able to actually apply what I was learning in school to the workplace. For example, during my first month in the internship, I offered recommendations on how we could perhaps change the whole onboarding and orientation program. I gave new ideas to the company on how to perhaps change some of the forms they were using with regards to maybe job descriptions or job offer forms. The internship experience, which led to my Capstone Treatise experience, allowed me to actually apply the research I learned in the MAP program, the Applied Psychology program. I was able to use the tools that I was taught during school and actually serve as a consultant during the whole internship and Capstone Treatise. And the applied psychology degree has prepared me to apply what I've learned in the program to help answer those tough questions that every business has. All organizations are going to come across problems during their tenure or lifetime, and being there to apply what I learned in school and offer my recommendations to help solve real-world business problems is something that the Master of Science in Applied Psychology program has prepared me for.
Thank you, Jonathan. And I've got a big grin on my face right now seeing that picture of you with your diploma in hand. That was a great day. Listea, what about you? How has the experience of this program impacted your career?
Yeah, I mean, I will say I feel a lot smarter and confident. I feel smarter and confident coming out of the program than before. And I think that's showing in my work. And I'll say that when I first started the program, I was in the HR part of Intel, and during the program, I made the transition to the technology side, the software side of Intel, where software developers are my consumer in that respect. And I did tell my manager that my manager was fully supportive, and she said that the smartest thing I did was doing my master's degree and continuing to work. And I think that actually made her feel even more confident in my research skills, because then about halfway through the program, I got a promotion. And that was a really big deal because going into the program, I actually was really nervous about, being able to excel in my career and still be giving my graduate studies my full attention. And instead of actually, having to kind of pull back, I was actually, I think, pushing even harder because I was so determined to give as much as I could. And I didn't plan on that. And so it's been very positive, and I'm very thankful for that. And so at this point, as I have wrapped up my internship, right now, because I made the transition during the program, I'm finishing up my projects and already having informationals about, the next steps, which will further apply the knowledge that I've gained through this program. So that I am very grateful for. And I'm also looking at these pictures, and it's just, good feeling, good intrinsic feelings, but also there's been extrinsic rewards as well.
Thank you, Lestea. Looking at these pictures and remembering commencement, I'm going to ask you both what it was like. Do we have time for one more question? I think we do.
Yes, we do.
Okay. I want to ask you what it was like to come to commencement and to meet everyone for the first time and feel that you had made it through the program. Did it seem like it had been a long journey, or did it go really fast?
The whole commencement experience was unforgettable. It was, you could feel the energy throughout the whole school the second you get there. It was a great experience to walk across the stage and actually receive, gain that recognition to graduate from a school such as USC with a graduate degree. Seeing my classmates for the first time, it wasn't awkward at all. It was actually, it was fun. It was like I was seeing old friends for the first time. And we gave each other hugs and high fives. We took pictures, and everyone was smiling. People were crying. But overall, it was a great experience. I feel very proud to say I have these classmates as friends now, as well as very proud to say that I was able to work with them and work with the professors and faculty, and proud to say that I graduated from a prestigious school such as USC.
You said
Thanks,
it so well, Jonathan. I don't think I can even add to that. I think you really just covered exactly the feelings I had. Unforgettable. I think lifelong friends, even beyond the program. So I echo ditto to what he said.
Great. Thank you both very much. I know that we have some information to share with all of you on the line about how to apply to our program, and we would invite you to apply. And I'm going to turn it over to Gina Chang, who can cover that with you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Dr. Leggett. To cover some of the admission requirements, we would require a bachelor's degree from a regionally accredited institution, verify a cumulative GPA when receiving official transcripts from all college and universities attended, GRE scores, You'd want to complete your online application and provide us with your most recent resume as well as a personal statement of purpose along with 3 letters of recommendation. Please contact an enrollment advisor to begin your application. Now, we are accepting applications for the 2017 spring and summer. Some important dates you want to definitely keep in mind are spring 2017 starts January 9th through April 30th with an application deadline of November 18th, as well as for the summer 2017, our term starts May 16th and ends August 28th with an application deadline of April 15th.
And Gina, if I could just interrupt there to point out, just for clarification, I think everyone knows that the program runs continuously for 16 months without taking summer off, and you can enter at any point, fall, spring, or summer.
Absolutely. We do have a rolling admissions. Correct. Now we'd like to answer some questions over from the audience. Please submit your questions. Type them below in the Q&A box. If we don't get to your questions today, one of us will reach out to you as soon as possible. Now, I do see a question coming in asking, in regards to the diploma, does it state anywhere that it was obtained online?
I'm going to let Listea answer that question because I know you have some feelings about that, Listea.
Oh, yes, my diploma, I like looking at my diploma. It says Master's of Science in Applied Psychology. And when people asked, oh, you're doing grad school while working? How are you doing that? And wait, you're going to USC? You're up here. And I explained to them just the technology is, I'm doing my master's degree while I'm working, and fortunately, technology allows us to, attend graduate school while being in different locations. So I think the online piece of it just means the technology allows you to pursue graduate school from different locations, but there's no difference between whether you're, on campus or online. High quality of learning and experience.
The diplomas are exactly the same, and I'm the director of the program regardless of the vehicle through which the courses are delivered. The same faculty teaches online and on campus for the most part, and when Jonathan and Listea and their online classmates came to commencement, the on-campus students met them for the first time, and they all walked together. It was one big group. That was really exciting, too. No difference in what your diploma says.
Another question came in. It says, how is the online program different from the campus program?
I guess I will answer that. It's a great question. We strive to deliver the same content in our classes, whether they are on campus and online, and that's achieved by the faculty being the same faculty. The mechanisms through which the lessons are delivered may be different. The classroom, all of our classes are 4 hours long. In one day, for 4 hours. But the class discussions are everyone sitting in a room, raising their hand to talk, and it's out loud. Those same discussions, the same questions that professors might ask in the classroom for discussion are programmed into the online learning platform, and Listea and Jonathan have participated in discussions by writing out their answers as opposed to speaking their answers in a discussion. But to be honest with you, the online students actually all talk because they all write. And it's sitting in the classroom, you can sit in the back of the room and not talk, although we have a major goal that class participation counts a lot, even if you're sitting in the classroom. But probably the only difference I experience as a professor is that I have the chance occurrence where I see students at my office or I see students walking across campus. And the chance occurrence don't happen as often with the online students. There's a tap on the door through an email or a phone call, but the content is virtually the same content with the same rigor and the midterm exams are the same whether they're on campus or online. The way in which the lessons are delivered is what differs.
Perfect. Thank you so much. One last question that came in states, how many hours did you find you needed to invest in your capstone while having to work in addition to your studies?
That's a great question, and I know it's tough, so I'm going to let the experts here, Jonathan and Listea, tell us what it was really like.
I can give some insight into that. While doing my internship, I was working full-time, 40 hours a week, and doing my Capstone Treatise at the same time. It's the reality that you perhaps are going to have to dedicate or commit almost all of your free time to not only taking on new responsibilities and learning new things during an internship, but also researching extensively for information that's relevant to your Capstone Treatise. I would say on average, with work and school during the Capstone Treatise and internship, I was committing at least 8 hours of work and then maybe 4 to 6 hours of studying and research for the Capstone Treatise. And the weekends would be fully committed to, spending my time doing research, going online, trying to find information that's relevant to the Capstone Treatise, as well as trying to find information that I can apply to my internship with regards to offering recommendations and how we could change processes and trying to prepare myself for the following week. So I would say on average like 60 hours a week I would dedicate to both internship and Capstone Treatise.
And that was with your internship being your full-time job?
It was my full-time job, yes, and the Capstone Treatise also felt like a full-time job.
Yeah. There's no doubt about it. It's a lot of dedication. Listea, what about for you?
Yeah, I would echo that during the semester when you're doing the capstone and ideally the internship together, you don't have to, you can do it apart, but together on top of classes and working. I would say Saturdays and Sundays are definitely dedicated to schoolwork, and then I'd say 2 to 3 days after work, I would just go to a coffee shop and, have a sandwich and work for the rest of the evening. And so I don't know the exact numbers. When I wasn't doing my capstone and treatise, though, those semesters were more like 20 to 30 hours a week. So it's a bit more when you do the treatise and the treatise in addition to your classes. But I think for me, it was well worth it. And I know I'll point out some of our colleagues, a lot of us obviously have other things like family as well. We have, some people have kids, some have spouses. I have a boyfriend and, parents that live nearby. I'll say for doing the master's degree, whether it's the capstone semester or not, having a strong support network that knows, hey, if you're not at a birthday party or you're not at a get together, it's not that you don't love them, it's just that they know that everyone's being supportive and knowing this. For me, it was important, and so sometimes I did have to make trade-offs between socializing versus reading the books and writing my treatise, but it was well worth it, and I think I appreciate everyone who supported me in that, including professors and other classmates.
Great. Thank you both. the dedication I think that it takes to do this program is very real, and because it is an intense program to be done in 16 months, I talked to one student yesterday who told me she's just started the program and she's already realized what she has given up first is TV watching. She said, it doesn't feel like that was a big sacrifice, but I'm definitely making some changes in my lifestyle to complete my education. Are there any other questions?
No, I think that's all the questions we have from the audience. Okay, so I want to say thank you so much to everyone who participated today, to the panelists, to Dr. Leggett and to Gina Tang. Thank you so much. To everyone on the line, we will be reaching out and following up with you. If we didn't get a chance to answer your question during the live portion, we will be following up to answer that question for you. On the screen now is the contact information. If you need to get in touch with us, please reach out. There's the phone number, and thank you very much for joining us. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.